You know, a lot of people have a hard time visualizing how ADA gets to some of these new highs, how it attacks some of these price levels that we're talking about later on in this market cycle. And what I keep going back to is this chart showing ADA is easily on trend to crush a $300+ billion market cap. And I do want to talk about that in this video, as well as one of the largest weeks we've ever closed, which is a huge, huge deal for the crypto market. But I do want to talk about actually a couple comments from community members that I think are very important to discuss as well. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell again. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So when we're looking at ADA right now, it's about 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're just seeing US money wake up. And again, ADA's floating, 70, 71, 72 cent levels. We're just kind of chopping. And I think this is going to be a very recurring theme as the weekend goes on, apart from any, surprises or manipulation attempts or retail capitulation or whatever it may be. We're probably going to stick somewhere around these ranges as we head into next week, and we target, some of those bigger ticket items, those bigger news, the bigger macro data. That's going to likely be the potential next push for the market. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. But I have to say, from an overall standpoint, the market has been in a good spot. And frankly, when we are seeing weeks like this, where institutional money just buys and buys and buys and buys and buys, it's very difficult to flip trends the opposite way. All right. So yesterday, $379 million in BTC accumulated by institutional players. BlackRock, $240 million added alone. This marks the second largest week we have ever seen by institutional players. $3.06 billion added. The only larger week was actually back in November of $3.38 billion. So we actually outpaced what we were doing in February into March. We outpaced what we were doing for the most part of November and into the first week of December. I mean, this is a great sign because it shows that people with crap tons of money have a lot of confidence in the market. We haven't seen retail follow quite yet. And that brings me to this question here in just a second. But there will be a moment where they're stuck chasing. And actually, this comment from a viewer, I think, is a perfect indication of that. He said, "Hey man, how do I convince my friend to get in now while he still can?" He says the bottom isn't in. And BTC had to go to his last all-time high before the crypto market will boom. Appreciate the daily uploads. I have to say, I appreciate your viewership. I appreciate all you guys. Honestly, the reason the channel has grown is because of you, because you guys keep coming back, because you guys obviously find what I'm talking about interesting. And I think that this actually is a very interesting discussion because BTC this cycle has done some things very differently, or very different than what it does in cycles past. And why I'm mentioning that is we obviously set a new all-time high before the halving. It's never happened before. And a big reason why is institutional money. Institutional money has helped lead the charge on a lot of these legs that we've had in the crypto space from the start of 2024 to now. All right. And what we actually did was we already retested the prior all-time highs from the prior market cycle. Okay. So we came down, we retested that actually in the summer of 2024 before creating this next leg, the one that ran BTC all the way up to, 108K, 109K. And what we've actually done now is we actually came down, we already retested our highs from back here in March. So our retests are done. BTC doesn't need to retest. We've done our retest. We've closed our CME gap to the downside. There's all this stuff that BTC has done. And really one of the biggest things we were trying to do was on the total market cap of crypto, close this retest from back here in March, which we did. And now we're actually broken out. And in fact, what I would say right now is just looking at the all assets outside of BTC, we're actually on the verge of a major altcoin breakout. This is a really big deal. And so the problem that a lot of people are going to have here is that they're still stuck sitting on the sidelines, waiting for deeper dips, waiting for lower prices that frankly right now have a less likelihood of taking place. And if you're seeing institutional money continue to buy in this way, to continue to press the markets, it's going to force retail's hand. And then we will see what we've always seen, where retail is stuck chasing, where we see FOMO ensue, where we see liquidations begin that leads us to higher prices. And then boom, we have adoption take place. This isn't a new thing. This happens every single market cycle. Yes, the players are different. The news is different, but it all takes place the same way. And so we're just repeating what we've always done. So unfortunately, the way I usually approach these things is, if someone's interested or has questions, I'll usually mention it 1 or 2 times, 3 times if you're lucky. And guess what? Then you're SOL. And I don't mean to be so blunt, but I'm not going to keep, talking about crypto to people if they're not interested, if they want to get in late, if they want to be one of the late adopters, well, you had a chance. All right. That's the way I would approach it. So, but what I will say here is when we're looking at ADA, we have questions, or many people have questions about how high it can get. What will it get to on this next run, this next leg? And what I found very interesting is there's a viewer who comments often here on the channel, great comments. And what he said is he decided to check on other people's sentiment. And most are saying we'll max out at $5 or $6 in terms of ADA. And he said, I can see that this cycle seems like most have lost interest in ADA. And you know what? This is actually a great discussion to have, because I think there was a period of time in this cycle where people were losing interest in ADA. And it was actually back here. It was back in this summer, right? And the problem with that is while people were losing interest, a lot of things changed. Okay. It was very quiet at that time. We know that we got stuck in this sideways trading forever. And it just seemed to drag on and seemed like there was no end. And then ADA ended up being one of the best performers in a 1 month period. It's been one of the most resilient, even on this retracement. So the question you have to ask now is what changed? Because yes, people lost confidence, but confidence resumed. And actually, I think that confidence is now higher than what it was before. And there's a chart showing this, which I'll get to in just a moment. But when we talked about, obviously, the embrace of US-based crypto here in the US, that's a big deal for ADA. Cardano is technically a US-based blockchain. We talked about that in the other, some other videos. But that gives a lot of confidence for what Cardano is building. And we saw the big five, right? Algo, HBAR, XLM, XRP, and ADA be the better performers during that time, because that was the main focus. We obviously then had the mention of Cardano or ADA in the strategic crypto reserve. We've had the embrace of US-based blockchains, possible no capital gains tax on US-based crypto. There's all these things that have kind of changed the narrative when it comes to ADA, which I think is a very big deal. So that is stuff that right now is helping create this resilience, but also can help ADA break out to some insane highs when we do start to go on this run. And the big thing I want to refer back to is actually ADA dominance in the crypto market. We're currently sitting at about 0.86% in terms of dominance in crypto. And I think that this is probably the most important chart we can look at, right? It really looked like our bottom for this cycle was going to be around 0.8%. But unfortunately, like you mentioned, people lost confidence in ADA. And that's the only reason that ADA actually got down to 0.5% in terms of market cap dominance back in October of 2024. Then we know confidence resumed. Confidence has remained resilient around this 0.8%. That's kind of the floor in these ranges here for this next leg. And why I'm saying that, and obviously this isn't to guarantee your financial advice, is when we keep looking at this structure, it's the same as last market cycle. I mean, the same to a T, right? Building that inverse head and shoulders like we were talking about. Here's our resistance line. And right now what we're waiting for is actually the throwback to that resistance to go on this break to the high. And the similarities don't stop there. First of all, when we're looking at this from an overall standpoint, it's the same, right? That means that ADA is targeting somewhere around that, 4% total market cap dominance. And if we're talking about, even on the more conservative side, an $8 trillion market cap in the total market cap of crypto at 4%, that's a $320 billion market cap in terms of ADA. Guys, that's $10 ADA. All right. And again, this isn't to try to get, anybody super excited or anything like that, or to pump hopium into you guys. It's just math. Okay. And when we look at this even further than what I was just drawing out there, the similarities are shocking, right? Look at this structure right here during that time. Look at this structure right here during that time. It's the same. We're doing the same exact thing that we did back in 2020, right before ADA made major runs to the upside. Look down here on the MACD, that flat sideways, right? Same thing. This is all, it's all playing out the same way. But now, what do we have that's different from back here? All right. What do we have that's different from back in 2020? Smart contracts, more efficient blockchain, faster speeds, more interoperability, discussions of major stablecoins coming to the Cardano ecosystem. We actually have stablecoins now in general, right? There have been so many advancements, so many partnerships and integrations and research taking place surrounding the Cardano blockchain. It is in such a different place than it was back then. So I would argue that, although this chart show we could run to about 4% in terms of dominance, there's the potential of it going even higher. You could be talking about, again, that $15 ADA, like we talked about, blow off top, about, potentially $20 ADA, Again, not to pump hopium into anyone or anything like that, but these trends are very consistent with last market cycle. It's it's almost too consistent to what we've done historically speaking. And now we're in a great spot for, again, ADA to make those major moves to the upside. And it's just a question. Well, it's not even a question. It's just a matter of letting things play out, letting the cycle work itself out. All right. So this video got a little bit longer than I wanted, but that's the math for how we get to those new cycle highs. And what you need to think about is right now, Cardano can only take steps forward. All right. It's very difficult to take steps back because people will complain about some of these negative things. Well, I would say that there are opportunities, right? If you want more users, great. Boost to the ecosystem. You want more interoperability, bam, boost to the ecosystem. Big stable, boost to the ecosystem. That can take us to some pretty insane highs, and it's all just about letting it play out. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.